Assalamualaikum. Allah knew this heartbreak was coming. So why did He still let it break you? Let that sit with you for a second. Because I know for some of you, this isn't just a deep question. This is personal. This is the kind of question you only ask when the pain gets so heavy. You don't even recognize your own heart anymore. Maybe you tried to stay strong. Maybe you told yourself, it is what it is. Maybe you kept saying, Allah is with me, even while you were falling apart inside. And then one night you're alone. Your phone is quiet. Your room is dark, and you're sitting there with a heart that feels bruised. Not just sad, but spiritually tired, like you're carrying something no one can see. You try to pray, but your salah feels heavy. You try to make dua, but the words feel stuck. You open the Quran, and instead of peace you feel distance. And that's when the thought hits you like a wave. Ya Allah, you already knew this would happen. You already knew who would hurt me. You already knew what I would lose. So why did I still have to live through it? And let's be real. Sometimes people make you feel like you're not allowed to ask that. Like questioning means your iman is weak. Like if you're hurting, you're doing something wrong. But listen, that's not true. This question doesn't mean you're a bad Muslim. It means you're a believer who's trying to understand the wisdom of your Lord. Because a heart that truly loves Allah doesn't just want answers, it wants peace. And here's what you need to know from the very beginning. Allah does not test you because He needs to find out what you'll do. Allah already knows. He knows your future before you even live it. He knows your choices before you even make them. So the real question becomes, if Allah already knows the outcome, why does He still put us through the test? Why do we still go through loss? Why do we still experience betrayal? Why do we still feel those moments where our chest tightens and our eyes fill, and we can't even explain it? And I'm telling you, when you finally understand the answer to this, it changes everything. Not just the way you view your pain, but the way you view Allah. Because you're going to realize something powerful. Some tests are not meant to destroy you. They're meant to reveal you, to show you what's inside your heart, to bring out a level of patience you never knew you had, to pull you closer to Allah in a way comfort never could. And yes, I know that sounds hard to accept when you're still healing, when the wound is fresh, when the tears still show up at random times, when you still replay conversations in your head like, how did it even get to this? But stay with me, because we're going to walk through this slowly, heart to heart. And by the end, insha'Allah, you'll stop seeing your test as proof that Allah is far from you. And you'll start seeing it as proof that Allah is shaping you. So before we go any further, I want you to type this in the comments, even if you don't fully feel it yet. I trust Allah, not because life is easy, but because Allah is always wise, even when the test hurts. Now let's talk about the real problem, and why so many hearts misunderstand what a test really is. Here's the problem. When Allah tests us, we don't just struggle with the pain. We struggle with the meaning. We start asking the right question, but we ask it with the wrong mindset. We ask, why is Allah testing me if He already knows my future? And deep down, what we're really saying is, if Allah already knows, then this must be pointless. If Allah already knows, then why does it have to hurt? If Allah already knows, then maybe this is punishment. And this is where the heart gets confused, because many believers, without realizing it, fall into spiritual mistakes during hardship, mistakes that don't always look like sins, but they slowly weaken the heart. Mistake 1. Thinking a test means Allah is angry with you. Let's be honest. When something painful happens, the first thought that often hits people is, Allah is mad at me. This is because I'm not good enough. This is my punishment. But that's not always true. Sometimes Allah tests the ones He loves the most. And sometimes the test itself is not punishment. It's purification. Mistake 2. Wanting answers without patience. When your heart is hurting, you don't just want a solution. You want it now. You want the pain to stop quickly. You want closure immediately. You want to understand everything in one moment. But life doesn't work like that. And spiritual growth doesn't happen instantly. Some answers come later. Some wisdom comes after healing. Some clarity comes when Allah opens your chest again. Mistake 3, measuring Allah's love by comfort. This one is subtle, but it's dangerous. We start thinking, if Allah loves me, I shouldn't be suffering. If Allah cares, He wouldn't let this happen. So we begin to connect Allah's mercy with ease, and we connect hardship with rejection. But that isn't how Allah works. The world was never meant to be Jannah. The dunya is a place of testing. Mistake 4, letting the test pull you away from Allah. And this is the biggest one. When people are hurting, they either run to Allah, or they slowly drift away. They start delaying salah. They stop making dua. They stop opening the Quran, not because they don't believe, but because they feel tired. They feel numb. And Shaitan loves that. Because if he can't make you commit a huge sin, he'll settle for something quieter, distance. He'll whisper, "What's the point? Allah isn't listening. You don't deserve to be close." And slowly the heart starts to accept those whispers. So the real problem isn't that Allah tests us. The real problem is that many hearts misunderstand what a test is. They think a test is Allah pushing them away, when it might actually be Allah calling them closer. And once you understand that, you stop asking, "Why me?" And you start asking, "Ya Allah, what do you want from me through this?" Now let me build this deeper for you, because the Quran and the words of the Prophet explain this in a way that changes the heart. Let's go deeper now. Because the answer is not just logical, it's spiritual. Allah tells us clearly in the Quran that tests are part of faith. He says we will be tested with fear, hunger, loss, and hardship, and He gives glad tidings to the patient. So tests are not a sign of Allah's absence. They are a sign of Allah's system, a system that purifies, elevates, and reveals. And the Prophet also taught us something powerful. When Allah intends good for someone, He tests them, not to break them, but to raise them. Now let me speak to you in a way your heart will understand, because some people hear tests, and they think of exams, like Allah is checking what you'll do. But Allah doesn't need to check. Allah already knows your future. So why the test? Because the test is not for Allah's knowledge. The test is for your growth. The test is for your purification. The test is for your witness. Meaning, on the day of judgment, you won't just stand there with what Allah knew. You will stand there with what you lived, with what you chose, with what you endured, with how you turned back to Allah. And that's what makes the test meaningful. Let me tell you something many people don't realize. Sometimes your heart thinks it has faith, until faith is challenged. Sometimes your heart thinks it trusts Allah, until the thing you loved is taken away. Sometimes you think you're patient, until life squeezes you in a way you never expected, and that's when the truth comes out. Not because Allah didn't know it, but because you didn't know it. A real life testimonial. I want you to imagine someone, maybe this is you. A young Muslim woman in the US. She's trying. She prays. She avoids harem. She keeps her heart attached to Allah. And then one day her world collapses. A relationship ends. Not in a clean way. Not with closure. It ends with confusion, betrayal, and silence. And after that, she starts questioning everything. She's sitting in her room at night, crying. And she thinks, "Why, Allah? You knew. You knew this would happen. So why did you let me love something that wasn't meant for me?" And at first, she becomes spiritually tired. Her prayers feel heavy. Her dua feels weak. She doesn't even know what to say to Allah anymore. But then something happens. One night she prays, barely, not a perfect prayer, just a broken prayer. And she raises her hands and says, "Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I'm still here. I'm still yours. Don't let this pain pull me away from you." And slowly, day by day, she starts healing, not because the test disappeared, but because her heart changed inside the test. She realizes that heartbreak didn't ruin her. It exposed what needed to be healed. It pushed her toward Allah in a way comfort never did. It made her dua real. It made her reliance real. It made her tawakkul real. And months later, she looks back and says something that only someone who lived it can say. "I thought Allah was taking from me, but He was actually saving me. He was protecting my heart from what wasn't meant for it. He was bringing me closer to Him through the only path that could wake me up." This is why Allah tests, not because He doesn't know the future, but because the test turns theory into truth. It turns "I believe" into "I trust." It turns I worship into I surrender. It turns Allah is enough from a quote into a reality. So if you are in a test right now, you're not being abandoned. You're being shaped. You're being refined. You're being carried, sometimes in a way you can't see. And now, we're going to talk about the healing. Because Islam is not just about understanding why. It's about knowing what to do next. Now let's talk about healing. Because Islam doesn't just tell you why you're tested. It teaches you how to survive the test with your heart intact. First, stop fighting reality. Say it out loud. This is from Allah, and Allah is always wise. Not because it feels good, but because it's true. Second, run to worship, not away from it. Even if your salah feels heavy, pray anyway. Even if your dua feels weak, make it anyway. Allah loves the servant who comes back while broken. Third, remember this ayah. Your strength is already inside you. Allah put it there. Fourth, make this dua daily, especially when fear hits. And when your heart feels overwhelmed, whisper, do these steps consistently, and you'll start noticing something. The test may still be there, but your heart will feel stronger inside it. Now listen carefully, because this is the part many people don't want to hear, but they need it. Sometimes the test isn't the thing that destroys us. It's how we respond to the test. Because the danger is not pain. The danger is letting pain make you forget Allah. A test can either raise you or ruin you, and it depends on one decision. Will you turn to Allah or turn away? Some people, when life gets hard, they stop praying. They stop making dua. They start drowning in distractions. And slowly, their hearts become numb. But numbness is not peace. Numbness is the heart giving up. And a heart that gives up becomes easy for shaitan to control. Remember this ayah. But ease does not always come the way you expect. Sometimes ease comes as strength. Sometimes it comes as closure. Sometimes it comes as Allah removing what wasn't good for you. So don't ever say, Allah left me. Allah never abandons the believer, but the believer can abandon Allah. And that is the real loss. So if you're being tested right now, I want you to breathe. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. Allah already knows your future, and that should comfort you, because it means your pain is not random. Your tears are not meaningless. Your struggle is not wasted. Make this dua with me right now. And say, now type in the comments, even if your voice shakes. I trust Allah. Because that sentence is not small, it's surrender. If this reminded you, share it with someone who needs hope. And subscribe for more heart healing reminders. May Allah strengthen your iman, heal your heart, and make your tests a path to Jannah. Ameen. And if you want part 2, where we talk about how to stay spiritually strong during tests, how to keep your salah alive when your heart is tired, and how to find peace even when life feels unstable, then comment part 2 right now. Because I will make that video for you, and for every heart that's struggling quietly.